everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode here on Britain's Farm. So as you can see, today is going to be a very busy day of loading sugar beet. Yes, we've got 500,000 litres of sugar beet in that clamp, and it all needs to be sold today because there is a great demand. It was being saved for the piggies, but there's a great demand and we're not going to be getting piggies this year anyway. So we thought that we would sell it, and we would obviously take the money for it and run. In taking the money and running, that will give us a bit of extra capital needed to just do one or two things. I've done quite a bit of work off camera, to be fair. So some of the things that I've done is I've bought a couple of new fields. They're on the back of the fields that we own anyway, so nothing too drastic there really. Just as I say, they are on the back of what we do own, and it's just going to make that little tiny patch of grass that we've got. Trying to think where. So the way we used to come into the farm, down that track with the big puddle, just as you get round that corner to the right of when you're coming into the farm, there was a little bit of grass there that we've been cutting. Well, I've now bought the two grass fields that surround that. I've taken down all the walls that were separating them from each plot, that separated each plot, and I've now made it one big field. So that's going to be a big help come the summer. The plan is that what we're going to do is, in the spring, we are going to mow the grass that's on there, and once that's mown, we're going to get it ploughed and then get planting a spring crop in there. So it could well be that it's sugar beet. It more than likely won't be, so it's more likely to be peas or beans or something like that. Yeah, we'll try and keep, because the clamp's down here, and this clamp's going to be permanent now. So because the clamp's down here, we will try and keep the sugar beet down this end. I mean, this is all Richard's land anyway. So it'll be kind of up to Richard, sort of what goes on his land. But as I say, we've sort of both agreed that we definitely weren't going to be able to afford to do the pigs this year, and so therefore, with the great demand that came in, it gives us an opportunity to expand our business, from what it is with more land, and also, as I say, it just helps us to move the save forward a little bit. So some of the other stuff that I've been doing off camera as well is I've been doing a few contracts as well, just ploughing and cultivating and things like that. So yeah, we've been doing that. What else have I been doing? I've sold I've sold nearly all of the crops that we had in silos as well, because again, apart from the wheat, because we obviously need the wheat to feed the chickens, I've sold all the wool. I've sold the mustard. The sugar beet is obviously now being sold. I'm just trying to think what else. Peas and beans, we've sold them as well. I've got some equipment that I want to sell, so I want to sort of sell off a few of the old bits of equipment. As much as I don't want to do it, one of the things that I am going to sell is going to be the seed drill. I love that little seed drill, but it is causing me to miss and sort of overlap and then miss bits and what have you, and then it's meaning that my tram lines aren't working out properly, and I'm almost certain that it's because it's a 3-meter drill, and because I'm not doing it with GPS, and then I'm not drilling it in not drilling the tram lines exactly 24 meters apart each time. So what I'm going to do is get a 6 meter drill. Again, it's a drill that I had on my Britain's farm, but it was made by CQ. But my farm was always predominantly Britain's, with just one or two little bits and pieces that came in from Ertl, CQ, and then a little bit later on Universal Hobbies, and some of the other Joel, I think, had a couple of bits and pieces from them as well. But yeah, it was predominantly Britain's, and so we'll be keeping this predominantly Britain's as well. But as I say, that the seed drill is something that I did have, so I've sort of not gone away from toys that I had when I was younger. But as you can see, we've got a lorry firm in. We've got a local firm in that's sugar beet firming that's doing taking our sugar beet to be sold. So they've got 2 lorries on the job today, and doing a very good job, to be fair. I'm sort of very pleased, and yeah, this is going to take a long time though. As I say, there was 500,000 litres of sugar beet in there when I started, and it's going to be a long old time. But we'll get there, and so once we get them sold, we'll have a bit more money. We've both myself and Richard have agreed that we should invest in more land, because land is our sort of our best asset, obviously, to have, and so we will be buying more of it, and eventually it will mean that we will need to replace the New Holland combine when that combine isn't no longer sort of viable in terms of its size and what have you. That's the only problem with this beet cleaner, is that eventually you do catch it up, and you get to a point where it can't empty faster than you can fill it. And in real life, because I did this job loads and loads and loads in real life, this would have been one of my sort of autumn jobs if it was wet and we were selling beet. This would be a job again that the farm could give me to do, because I'm literally just using the teleporter or telehandler to load the beet cleaner. But when you get to in real life, when you get to the point where you're no longer able to just tip a full bucket of sugar beet in there, what you do is you go off and you move the pile of mud and everything that would be underneath the beet cleaner, where it's shaking off all the soil and cleaning it, and all the trash and debris that would come off the sugar beet as well would all go underneath there. And once you'd caught it up, so that or got ahead of it, really, rather than catch it up, once you've got ahead of it, so that like that you can't tip a full bucket in there now, you would clean it all out underneath. The other the other thing you would do as well is check that everything was kind of working okay, make sure it wasn't overheating. To be fair, the farm that I worked on, they did have and I don't think it was quite brand new, but it hadn't done very much when I joined. It came the same year that I joined the farm. I started on no, I didn't. I started on September the 1st, and I think the beet cleaner came is either the 2nd or 3rd of September. They had 1 or 2 bits new that first week I was there, and I quickly learned that the farm was always buying new stuff. It was like having a farm manager that had a shopping addiction. It was like coming home from work, and yet again your missus had had Amazon packages delivered. But to be fair, most of it was, what the farm needed, or it was, good stuff or whatever, So I mean, it wasn't like, the farm was sort of wasting money, if you will. But yeah, it was just one of those things. I remember one year rolling. We'd had a young lad come onto the farm. I was drilling, and what we used to happen was, because we had sort of 3 drills, but we'd have 2 running at any one time, and the third one would be like a floater drill if we were getting behind or whatever. And the third drill was a 9-meter Simba. So it was, it was sort of fairly old. It wasn't used that much, but as I say, it was a floater drill. If we were getting behind, it was a drill that we could use. And I was drilling, so myself and Shane would do most of the drilling, and you would be given like areas. So he might be given all of, say, I don't know, Holbeach or whatever, or or Spalding or wherever, and I might be given all of sort of Wisbech and sort of Kings Lynn and places like that. And I was, as I say, I was out drilling. It was Monday morning. I got to work, and Adrian said to me, "You've got a new lad working with you today. Can you look after him and show him the ropes?" I was like, "Yeah, fair enough." And so I said, what's he going to be doing?" So he said, like, he's going to go rolling. He said he's going to be rolling behind you. He said, but don't let him start too early. He said, like, let it get a little bit dry on it first, because it was a nice summer and a nice autumn as well. Because I think it was about September, maybe August time. And the lad that we had doing the rolling was a complete douchebag, and they just got rid of him. And we say we had this other lad sort of come in, and I'm at the yard waiting for him, and we start at 7. So at 10 to 8 he wanders in. So I said to him, we start at 7. So he said, yeah, I know. He said, but I'm only rolling. He said, I thought I'd let you get ahead. So I said, oh, you know where you're going, dear? So he said, well, no. He said, but no doubt someone will tell me. So from minute 1, I didn't like his attitude. His attitude stunk. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could tell straight away that he was going to be useless, because he already knew everything. It wasn't going to be too many more hours before he was going to start telling me what was what, and you could tell this straight away. So I said to him, right, I said, you'll have to follow me. I said, but as much as you can, you have to try and leave enough gap between me and you for 3 cars. Why? I said, well, because then it helps to keep the flow of traffic, and we don't hold the traffic up. I said, if we're in convoy, they can't overtake us because we're too long, I said, like, so you need to leave enough gap for about 3 to 4 cars. So, oh yeah, I'll just do whatever. They'll either get in or they won't. I said, well, whatever. I said, but as long as I've told you, like, I can't get in trouble. So we goes off to the field anyway, and I'm drilling, and so we get to the field, and he sat in his tractor. So I said to him, right, I said, you can help me get greased up and that. So he said, no. He said, you're the drillman. He said, I'm the rollman. He said, so therefore you look after your kit, I'll look after my kit. Well, I've never had anyone say anything like that before. Everyone that we've ever worked with has always gone, yeah, no problem, whatever. So I said to him, well, you need to then grease your rolls up and get them ready. He goes, I haven't got a grease gun. You should have provided that before we got here. So it's kind of like, well, maybe we should have. It isn't, but Adrian probably should have made sure. So I ended up bloody greasing the drill, and then having to grease his rolls for him, because I wasn't letting him use my grease gun, because the farm had bought me a battery one, because I did have a hand pump one. And sometimes when I was having a bit of a sort of bad day with heart symptoms and that, it was hard for me to have the strength and the sort of continual puff to be able to to use the hand one, and so they bought me a battery one, and honestly made life so much easier for me, and so I wouldn't let him use that. So I went round his rolls and did them. I mean, there was only, I think probably 8, maybe 10 altogether. I don't know, I can't remember, but there wasn't many. And so I did them for him. So I said, right, I said, you got to wait now a couple of hours. I said, so we get a bit of dry on the top. I said, like, because obviously, I said, when my tines and my drill are going to go through the ground, they're going to bring up a little bit of moisture, and we don't want you rolling the moisture. We want it to dry. Oh, so you should have started me at 10 then. So I said, well, no. I said, there's magazines and that in the tractor. I said, like farming magazines. Oh, I'm not interested in them. I said, well, what are you doing working on a farm then? So he said, why? He said, it's a job, innit? He said, and anyway, he said, who doesn't want to sit on their arse all day doing nothing? And I was like, oh, okay. I said, all right, mate, fair enough. I said, well, anyway, I said, there's magazines in there. I said, but 2 hours. Well, he'd give it about 20 minutes. And suddenly I'm seeing him go down the field, and Adrian, my farm manager, came to me and he said, like, how are you getting on? So I said, I told him what you said. I said, I did everything that you asked. I said, but he is an absolute arsehole. I said, he really is. And I apologise for keep swearing, but I'm just telling you as it was, like, as it was and he was. And, he really was the pit. So Adrian went and had a chat with him, and anyway, dinner time came. So I've stopped at the end of the field for my dinner. Well, I've stopped at the far end because one end of the field there's houses and what have you. There's a factory to the right and some houses and sort of different buildings and that. So I've stopped the other end. Mainly because I didn't want to disturb, but also as well, if obviously during my lunch break I wanted to go to the toilet, I didn't want people locally to be able to sort of see what was going on. So I stopped the other end of the field. It's just a dike and then just more open fields the sort of beyond them, and they were our fields anyway, so it it didn't matter, sort of thing, because as I say, they were our fields and they were just fields that I were going to be drilling next in. And so he came over there and he went, oh yeah, thanks for getting me a bollock in and all this rubbish. And so I said to him, I said, well, look, I said, I'm not being funny, mate. I said, but I said, no, I didn't get your bollock in. I said, all I did was I told him what happened. I said, I said, what he does thereafter with that information is entirely up to him, not down to me. I said, but I said, word of advice. I said, I said, you left school. I said, probably. I said, sort of July time this year. So he said, no, I left school last year. So I said, all right, you left school last year. He said, I went to college. I was at college. So I said, okay. So I said, are you still at college? No, he said, I left. So I said, why did you leave? He said, why? I got expelled. So I said, well, crikey, to get expelled from college, you've got to be doing something very wrong, So I said to him, I said, well, how come did you get expelled? And anyway, he was sort of saying, fighting and arguing and, just not listening and not doing coursework and what have you. So I said, right, I said, you're a young lad. I said, you don't want to be throwing your life away now. I said, because you've got far more of your life to come than you've already had. I said, and you don't want to make the rest of it hard, I said, the things I've said to you this morning, I said, I said, they weren't difficult instructions, they weren't, anything other than, I said, I was polite to you, and, tried to, sort of, I said, but you just weren't interested. I said, it costs you nothing to listen. I said, and when you listen, you learn. I said, and when you learn, it means you can do things easier and quicker, and it saves you time, and it means that you don't, have to waste energy on something that we're kind of telling you can be done, a faster way or a better way or whatever, I said, if you want to work here, I said, which, I said, I'm assuming you do. He went, nah, it's just a job. So he goes, he said, I'm just trying to get to 60 as quick as I can, and then I can retire. And I said, but it doesn't work like that, mate. I said, like, it really doesn't work like that. I said, like, he goes, well, of course it does. He goes, that's what my dad did. So yeah, I said, but I said, the thing is, when he was our age, well, your age, I said, because he was quite, a few years younger than me. I said, when he was like your age, I said, life was different. I said, life was very different. I said, you've got to live for now, not live for then. I said, you can't live the life that your dad had because it was in a different time. It was in a different era. I said, none of it's the same. And anyway, we sort of had lunch, and yeah, I could, you could tell a mile off you weren't getting through to him. And I said to him, and I said, another thing. He said, yeah. I said, we all have to use that tractor. So he said, yeah. I said, it's what we call one of our floater tractors. So he said, right. So I said, basically it means that it's one of those tractors that gets left on the yard, and if you need a spare tractor to shunt stuff about, or do a bit of rolling with, or pull a muck cart, or pull, it's just a tractor that's there to be used by anybody. So he said, yeah. So he said, I'm using it. So I said, yeah, I know you are. I said, but could you please? I said, because of the amount of dust that I'm kicking up and you're kicking up with the rolls, I said, can you please close your doors? I said, they don't want to be open. I said, you've got aircon in that tractor. I said, if you don't like the aircon, I said, which some people don't, and that's fine. I said, open the windows, the side windows open, the back windows open. I said, open, but don't have the doors open. I said, because you're filling that tractor absolutely full of dust. And he went, well, that's all right. He goes, someone will clean it out. The next person that wants to use it will clean it out. And it's like, and so I said to him, yeah, I said, all right, mate. I said, whatever. I said, but there you go. I said, that's my point exactly. And anyway, he rocked up for work on Tuesday. Again, he was late. And amazingly, we got to Friday. And he rocked up work. I think he got to work at about 5 to 8 again on the Friday, and Adrian was waiting for him. I'd already gone rolling. I'd already gone drilling, and Adrian rang me and said, I forget the lad's name now, but he said he won't be joining you. So I said, oh yeah. He said, yeah. He said he rocked in this morning. He said about the same time. So I said, yeah. So he said, we've got rid of him. So I said, oh, thank God for that. I said, it's been a really horrible, uncomfortable week. I said, and I love my job. I said, I just wanted nothing to do with him, all the time, and I didn't want anything to do with him, because he just made everything so much more difficult than it needed to be. And like I just said, I do apologise for swearing a couple of times. It's not my intention to swear on these videos, because there's no need for it. But all these years later, and he still make me mad a little bit, But yeah, so he and as the tractor, in the end, I ended up having to clean out myself, because I'd sort of done the drilling up till Friday. And then Adrian said, if you wouldn't mind, you can stop drilling, because it talks of being another sort of fairly good week next week. Well, it talked of being good for sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and he said, if you wouldn't mind coming in Saturday and Sunday and doing the rolling and catching yourself up. So that's what I did, and because I can't sit in a dirty tractor, because I have to eat my dinner and that in there, and I'm a little bit OCD, and obviously with my heart condition as well, and my immune system not being sort of as good as it perhaps should be, or whatever, where it had to, for my own sort of peace of mind, it had to be clean. And so when I finished Friday night at 8 o'clock in the evening, it was then sort of put all the floodlights on in the yard, and get the tractor into the power washing bay, power wash it, and then sort of clean and disinfect all inside. And I made a right mess in there, absolute right mess. There was tissues in there. It was honestly disgusting, but never mind. But yeah, so as I say, that was a job that I had to do. And like I say, this job, I did this loads and loads as well. You know, again, like I say, if it was either, you know, too wet or you know, or I'd caught up, or I was sort of now waiting for harvest teams to you know, get in front again so as I could get work in the land behind them. Then and sugar beet was being harvested, then you know, or we'd harvest them and sugar beet needed to be gone. We had our own lorries on the farm, so we had our own beet cleaner, and then we had our own. Obviously, we had our own telehandlers and stuff like that. We also had some of um, the big loaders as well, but I never used any of them. To be fair, there was never really any need for me to use them. You know, more often than not, they would be off on silaging duties with the dairy team. So, you know, the opportunity to use them wouldn't really be there anyway. But yeah, so it it was always with the telehandlers, either the JCB. We had a couple of JCBs. We had a Class Scorpion, and we had a really old John Deere one as well. But the John Deere one really didn't do very much because, you know, it wasn't that good compared to the JCBs and the Class Scorpion. It just wasn't able to compete really. But yeah, so well, we've nearly done it. That pile has gone down a heck of a lot quicker than I thought it would do. To be fair, we've got on really well here, and as I say, we've done really well. I'm really pleased. It's been a good effort by everyone. So using auto drive, as I said in previous videos, I'm slowly getting the hang of auto drive, very slowly. So for a long time it was very inconsistent. I could get it to work and then it wouldn't work, and I'd do the same things, but then suddenly it wouldn't work or whatever. And then about a month ago, I found on, is it GitHub or something like that? I found the auto drive page, and I downloaded the very latest version of it and tried that, and that has seemed to have made all of the difference, because touch wood, at the moment every map that I've tried it on, it has worked. I'm not going to say flawlessly, but it's worked to a point where I'm happy with it, and it is making my life easier. Because if it wasn't for auto drive, I'd have to be loading this, then driving the lorry, then sort of back in here, then driving the lorry, you know, and that's a lot of work for a ginger person, and so I, you know, I'm sort of fairly grateful that you know, auto drive is carrying out the task, so to speak. But yeah, so got a lot to do actually on Britain's Farm. Like I say, I've done quite a bit off camera, just because a lot of it was kind of repeated from what we've done recently on the farm. You know, like sort of a little bit of grass cutting just to finish that off, and we just had one or two little areas that needed to be finished off, and so I did them. And as I say, I've done some contracts as well, and some of them were baling contracts as well. Actually, most of them were baling contracts. I think I had about 8 or 9 baling contracts, and then 2 cultivating contracts, and one ploughing contract. And I had a sowing contract, which I saved the game and then for my sins went to bed because I do need to sleep. Went to bed, woke up in the morning, thought, oh, okay, I'll do some more, and then when I came back, it for whatever reason I couldn't sow it. It just wouldn't let me. So I don't really know what had happened. I have read online since then that is a little bit of a bug with missions, that sometimes missions, when you save and come back, don't work for whatever reason. So I take it it's not just me, but it was a bit odd, and it's a shame as well because it was in a relatively big field. So it would have been, about another. I think it was about £8,000 or £9,000. So that would have been really, really handy for the farm to have. But yeah, as I say, it's sort of disappointing that it didn't work. But there we go. And so this isn't going to be going on for too much longer, really. We've very nearly got this done. As I said before, very, very pleased with how well this has gone and how quickly it's gone as well. Yeah, very impressed. Turns out my loading skills may be getting better. we won't speak too quickly. Oh dear, never mind. So I hope you guys are are enjoying some of the new content that's coming to the channel. By the time this episode goes out, the first episode of Glengarry would have gone out this week. I think that went out Tuesday, if I remember correctly. So that's that's something new. The contractor, not as good as the other sort of the contractor series that are on YouTube, but sort of my little effort, and I'm sort of still learning and still getting to grips with everything. And but yeah, I just thought it's something a bit different, and it would what can I say? Just sort of break up that that in my own opinion the monotony of 1950s farm, Britain's farm, and then Carmland's farm, and then 1950, and it got a bit repetitive. And as I've said before, views started to drop off quite badly. I'm not doing very well now. Now that I've said I'm doing okay, I've hit that twice now. I'm not very happy about that. Yeah, so as I say, to do some different stuff, and it's good because it keeps things fresh for me. And there's going to be more maps and series is sort of coming out as well as we go through next week and beyond. Some different things that I've never done before that I thought might be interesting to do. You sort of do the things we've never done before and mix it with the stuff that we do normally, and it should hopefully make for more interesting content. Not that I don't think my content is sort of not interesting, but just a better variety. There we go, that's a better way of putting it. A better variety of things. And as I say, before I started doing YouTube, I auto stacked everything and had auto load trailers and everything else, and didn't attempt any of that sort of stuff. But now, as I say, I'm doing it myself. I do apologise for my phone keep going off. It turns out that the least popular person in the whole world in the last half an hour has become very popular. So I don't quite know what's happened there. no doubt scammers trying to scam me and sell me something. But never mind. So I do apologise for the. Normally I don't have to put my phone on silent. As I say, I never get a text. No one ever rings me, and you know, I sort of don't have to worry about remembering to put my phone on silent. But oh, we were still full a little bit by the looks of that. Off he goes to the sell point. So we're selling it at Linton Mill. That's where we're selling it. It probably means absolutely nothing to you guys. I appreciate that, but that's where the sugar beet is going. I have a mod that is able to understand what I have in silos and bales, and it's then able to sort of find where the best price is for it, and then it tells me if I sell, you know, say the sugar beet, all of the sugar beet at once at this sell point, it's going to be worth, you know, this is going to be worth about 147,000. But it also in the next column, like then there's a divide, and then in the next column, it tells me what I would get for it if I waited for the best price and when the best price is gonna likely to be. It's not always accurate, but it's you know it's never far out, but it's not always spot on. But I kind of like the fact that sometimes even the mod gets it wrong, you know, because life wouldn't be that easily predicted. So the fact that the mod sort of gets caught out as well, I quite like. So it does mean you have to check the mod sort of on a daily basis to make sure that you know you're not missing out or you know whatever. And yeah, I really like it, and it also tells you where the you know the sell point is. So you know you've got like a quick reference thing. You don't have to go off and look it up, which you know is really good. And so that's where we're selling this sugar beet. I say this is the last thing really to sell. We've still got some eggs. I haven't sold the eggs yet, and according to the I think it's called Stop Price Checker or something like that. It's on the Mod Hub. It's definitely on the Mod Hub because any scripts that I download all come off the Mod Hub because scripts really can break your game quite quickly. Mods it's a bit easier with because you know you can sort of load them into your game and then open up this and then tells you that you know there's errors in there. That those errors in there are I can't. It's either I don't think it's the sugar beet. I think it's the lorries that are missing a 110N something or other command. But that's not a game breaking error. That isn't. And once the sugar beet's done, those lorries are going to be sort of taken out of the save again anyway. Literally just in to you know simulate a firm coming in and doing the sugar beet. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. But it's basically in the log, if you get Lua call stack errors, get rid of the mod that's causing it or whatever's causing the Lua call stack. The Lua call stack errors are the game breakers. So you know I don't have anything. Everything that I download goes in on its own, and then obviously gets purchased or used or you know whatever I have to do, and that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that mod to generate Lua call stack errors, and if it does, it goes. If it doesn't, it stays. As long as there are no other you know sort of serious errors in the log file, but the Lua call stack errors, yeah, as soon as I see that, it's gone. It doesn't stay. Maps, I play a lot of sort of converted maps from sort of 19 to 22, and again, as long as that map's got no errors in the log whatsoever, and everything functions, then I'm quite happy to play it. And this map I did myself, hence the reason why there's quite a bit wrong with it. like floating birdhouses. None of you have taken any notice of that, have you? I know you wouldn't do, because you wouldn't want to embarrass me, would you? So I know that none of you have seen that. So I just thought I'd like mention it. But if we all pretend that we didn't see it, then we can all get on with our lives, right? So yeah, there's little bits and pieces around, and I sort of do try and go back, but the birdhouse, I actually can't get rid of it. It's not, when I unload the map in Giants Editor, it's not there, and but it shows up in game, so I don't know how that works. But it doesn't show up on Giants Editor, and in game I can't hide it either. So unfortunately it's going to be there, but I don't need to mention it, because obviously no one's seen it, and even if you had seen it, you would all be far too polite to mention it, which I really appreciate. So thankfully I've got no worries there. But yeah, so I'll tell you what, this isn't going to be long. I think we've got about this lorry and probably half a lorry to go. But yeah, so anyway, that's been this episode. You kind of get the idea. I don't know. I don't think, as I say, there's too much more there now. I don't know. There's probably about 100,000 litres, but or just over probably. But as I say, we've been going now 42 minutes, and I think that's long enough for anybody to have to be subjected to me going on about stuff. So I'm going to say thank you all ever so much for watching. If you haven't done already, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. By the time 1st of July comes around, we do have a new target. 400 subscribers by the 1st of July is the target. So if you could, please help me on the way to achieving that target, that would be brilliant. At the moment, at the time of recording this, I'm on 398, so I only need 2 more. And I know there's 2 people out there that could just think, do you know what, he's ginger, he's sort of, no one's really friends with him or anything. I can give him a subscription. It's free of charge. I don't mind. He won't even know I did it, so he won't bother me. And I'm sure there are 2 people out there that could do that. So yeah, if you could, I'd be very, very grateful. But all that's left for me to say is thanks ever so much for joining me on this video. I've really enjoyed having your company. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me, and I really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye for now.